EMI, but somehow I think it's better to take a look of think about what is EMI from the global, and you guys are somehow bring something different, and somehow let's take a look from the local perspective, both from the global and local perspective for today. All right. So here I feel somehow kind of privileged and honored. And actually, to be honest, I'm really also a newbie, just a 1 year old baby in EMI. And I joined National Pindong University last semester, last year. And actually, that was also the first time that I started officially to work on with the EMI, English as Medium Instruction. And even though, let's take a look at this one. That's all about me. Take a look at this. Because we don't have quite a lot of participants here. Would you like to tell me which one is wrong? These are some quick facts about my experiences. I don't want to say professional experiences, but somehow which lead me to have the chance to work on EMI Development Center at National Pindong University. Which one? Anybody want to turn on the microphone? Or just, yes, I think let's just turn on the mic and have more interaction, because we don't have quite a lot of participants here and there. Anybody?
I don't think number 9 is true. I think you were a local advisor at a different ETA site.
Which one?
Let's go with Elon County.
Elon? No,
that's a no. That's a no. No, Taipei.
No, not Taipei. It's good that you can try to know the different cities. No Elon, no Taipei. What else?
How about Dalian?
No Dalian. But good guess. Bob, double check with the spelling. Take a look at where I am from, my affiliation now, my present affiliation, my university.
Pindong?
Yes, bingo. Who's that?
Yeah.
Okay, Emily, thank you. Pindong. I think I need to promote Pindong. Okay, National Pindong University. Even though actually I live in Kaohsiung, and I was, if you take a look up somewhere, I didn't have that. I was a professor at Wenzhou Ursula University of Languages, located in Kaohsiung, which was the private university specialized in foreign language education. And just as I mentioned, I joined National Pindong University last year. So I'm just 1 year old newbie at National Pindong University. Anyhow, yes. That's all about me. Any other questions or any concerns or anything? Okay. All right. Yes, Bob.
I have a question. On slide number 3, I'm familiar with EMI, but for me, EML is new. Can you tell me what EML is, please?
Okay. That's a very good question. EMI, English as a Medium Instruction. And I think in teaching in a classroom, teacher, instructors, it's not the main stakeholder. Students. So what I put here is that 40 plus years of English as medium of learning. Okay? So think about that.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Medium instruction. Teaching doesn't only happening, the teacher is not the key role player on the stage. Students and teacher. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? So you can know my age. Okay. All right. Here we go. So before we move on, may I have you to share with us each other? I created a Jamboard. I'm going to paste a link here. So I'm going to paste that in the chatting box. Okay. Can you share with us Can anybody join that? I put that in the chatting box, the Gym board. Okay, so here's a good somehow a warm-up. Let us know who you are and how much you know about EMI and the bilingual 2030 policy in Taiwan. If you know nothing, that's okay. It's a good start. Start from zero. But if you already know something, it's okay. It doesn't need to be right or wrong. All the answers are welcome. All right? So I hope that you know, does anybody have difficulties? Yeah, you can try to play with that. Actually, you can start with use a sticky note. There's a sticky note here. You can put a sticky note and choose a different color, green or yellow, blue or orange, pink. Then you can type your answer, or you can use a pen. All right? What do you know about that? You guys, you see the sticky notes here? I know everybody, students hate it. Okay? Something like that. What do you know about it? I know a bunch. Wow. A relative new initiative. That's quite ambitious, yes. But looks like we still have like maybe 7 more years to go. It's ambitious, but doesn't mean that we cannot make it. Okay? Okay, starting. Okay, we do have some good data, some record. Yeah, starting like 4 years ago, something like that. That's promoted by MOE, and it's not only related in education. I think that's somehow connected with the other contexts. Why do we do this? Apply that in education. Okay. You're teaching English, but you're not teaching English. Yes, this is EMI. Focus on content learning. Okay, lovely. That's all something you know about EMI. All right. Thank you for all your contribution. Let me move on. Okay, I create some other boards. Then let's see what we can work on with this one. All right. So, yes, let's start with what we know about EMI and bilingual 2030 policy. But somehow, allow me to borrow Simon Sinek. That's a very famous golden circle model in management. Let's start think about, analyze. What is that? What is EMI? And how we can implement that? And why? This kind of golden circle, the results, the process, and the purposes. Then if I follow this template, this role model, this golden circle, and then let me tell you, what is EMI? EMI somehow is something correlated, that's something happening in higher education setting context. But actually, higher education is at the one end of the educational system. And you know, I noticed that somebody already wrote it, CLIO. Does anybody know CLIO? Content and language integrated learning. That is already happening, something happening in elementary school, primary school, and junior high school. Okay? They are all something about approaches, teaching approaches. But how can we do that? Think about this is not only happening in Taiwan, but here it's happening all over the world about the educational reformation. But here we are in Taiwan, we do have our history. We do have our students, the history, the cultural context. We need to have this kind of globalized bilingual education policy. All right? And then why do we do that? Because that's something the bilingual 2030 policy that is promoted, that is somehow by our government. That's the purpose is to elevating the country's overall national competitiveness and somehow at the same time raise the level of English proficiency among the public. All right? Just let you know about the whole picture. Let's do this step by step. Why is EMI? Because somehow Taiwan is not only happening, exists in single, I think, because of the globalization. like COVID-19, no matter what kind of issues or what kind of social, cultural, economic factors, globalization, internationalization, nobody can exist from that. Okay? So for this issue, internationalization and globalization, we need to make sure that Taiwan is not alone, is not left behind. We want to promote Taiwan, develop Taiwan into a bilingual nation policy. Okay? And then one of the strategies that we can do is that we focus on education. We revitalize bilingualization along the educational system. Okay? Take a look at this. That's right. Somebody put this. You've got a good memory. It's saying 2019, the end of 2019, that we have this kind of blueprint, this kind of white paper. Okay? So, but who we are, why we are here for this workshop, for this intro, let's take it from a macro perspective and a micro perspective. Now, you are going to, and I'm also in higher education setting. And these are all the stakeholders in the higher education system in Taiwan, including the governments or even non-government organizations like Fulbright and alumni, enterprise industries, the funding agency, the parents, Indonesian students and local students, and staff, faculty members, and local community. All these are the key stakeholders about this policy. Okay? And then how about the micro? So allow me to share with this one, if we somehow dissect to look into the macro perspective of EMI in higher education in Taiwan. Why do universities do this? There are three key goals: communication, management, and quality education. Universities in Taiwan, we do have how many universities, do you know? How many universities we have in Taiwan, including the comprehensive university and or vocational university. Does anybody know the number? Make a guess. 888? That's a lucky number for tonight's lottery? No, sorry, Bob. Too much. Too many. 50? Billy, more. Shelley, less. Yeah, yes, almost there. I think it's 150, something like that, including like a private and public universities. I'm talking about the comprehensive, like a National Taiwan University, like a National Central University you're going into, and the National Taipei University of Science and Technology. They are the, I think these two universities, Zhongyang Daxue, this is the comprehensive university, and Taiketa, National Taipei University of Science and Technology, is the vocational university. I think somehow they are a good choice that you can see the different type of university. But anyhow, no matter what kind of university, I think somehow echoing back to EMI, this policy, bilingual 2030 policy, we are thinking to promote this because based upon the three key core mission: communication, management, and quality education. Taiwan, we are not, actually, English is not our official language. You know that? English is not our official language. Do we have this policy? No. English is our foreign language. So, in either educational setting or out of educational setting, I think we are using English as a lingua franca. I don't know, does any of you know this concept, this term? English of lingua franca. Bob, would you like to elaborate more about what's L? What does that mean by L?
Well, yeah, this is something that people do all over the planet. They adopt another language, such as English or Swahili or Chinese, for the purpose of doing work and building community. Or usually you get an advantage if you learn another language. You can probably make more money. So lingua franca is how the Greek speakers describe the Latin people in the Western Mediterranean. They called the language Sabir, but it's like an artificial language. And I've met many people who speak Swahili, but they also consider this as like a business language. They don't tell jokes in Swahili, and they don't say happy birthday really in Swahili. They have another language for that. But the lingua franca, or the common language, is like money, like if you spend dollars in Mexico or something like that, or spend euros in India. It's a tool people do all over the planet. And English is a very useful example because it's so common.
Yeah, and but think about if you take a walk in the night market or on the streets, you can see that we see different people coming to Taiwan, and they do speak English, but they speak Indonesian English, you speak Korean, Japanese English, but we speak Englishes. But somehow this English is not something, the American English, is standardized English that we learned in the textbook or something like that. Okay, so L is the key term, is Englishes, artificial Englishes that we use for communication. So in higher education, in university setting, you can see that we use English, but we cannot deny that English is dominating academic language. We see that the journal paper, the conference, all these that we have to conduct, we have to use academic English to express, to share with us what we have learned, what we have found, the research data, this and that. Okay? So we cannot deny that we use English for communication in higher education on the one side. And then for the management, we cannot, sadly to say is that because of the low birth rate, is not only happening in Taiwan, that we need more students. We need more international students from abroad. And that's English is the only language, the common language we can learn to communicate. So, but also, and obviously, because of this bilingual 2030 policy, that if the university somehow try to do something about echoing back to this policy with the government or industry, at the same time, we will get more money, more grants, okay? And then we cannot deny that local university, it does not exist alone in Taiwan. It's not positioned in one stand. We need to see what's something happening around the world. We are all interconnected with each other. And then we know that many universities, we do have many sister universities. And why do we do that? Because that's something we connect with each other, not only locally, but globally, to enhance, to improve our quality teaching. Okay? So take a look at this macro perspective. And how about the micro? In the classroom, as I mentioned, that EMI, English as medium instruction, from the teacher, from the professor's perspective, how can we conduct a good EMI? Take a look at this. A good professor, a good EMI professors, I think somehow these are the 3 P's: professionalism in his subjects, content, okay? And he also needs to have some skills, some teaching pedagogy skills, teaching strategies, how to deliver his subject content to the students. And in an EMI class, of course, English is the language, is the rule, the language that we have to use in class. So the 3P, professionalism, pedagogy, and proficiency, English proficiency, that is something that the teacher, EMI professor, has to employ in the EMI class. But how about the students? Why do they, have ever thought about, if you're going to step into an EMI class, why do the students come to this EMI class rather than a CMI, Chinese Medium Instruction classes? Why? Maybe these are some of the reasons, because that's the required courses, because the students want to get to know more about international students, want to extend their horizon, and maybe some students, they do have the plan to study abroad or for career planning, employment planning. Okay, this could be some reason. So here's about that. From the research data, there are 3 positions about EMI in globalization process. There are 3 different positions, 3 different type of standpoints. The first one is skeptic. Some people is that going to be workable? Yeah, this is ambitious policy. But some people are optimistic. Yes, good one. But some people are still, mediocre one, negotiated one. But how about yours? Allow me to show you the 3 different positions. And can you tell me which position you are? May I have somebody to read aloud this position that we read it together and see which position tell us who we are? Dejo, would you like to, Dejo? Am I pronounced correct?
Yeah, Deisha, sure.
Data. Okay. Would you like to read that? Yeah, go ahead.
Position 1, the skeptic. EMI in higher education is reinforcing power relations and encouraging new forms of global elitism and inequality, especially by replacing other languages with English. Whether students choose EMI or are forced into a difficult and disadvantaged choice is similar to questions over whether educators choose to switch parts of their practice to English in order to engage more globally, or whether this is something forced upon them. Overall, neoliberal ideologies and processes are dominating the higher education market, and we are contributing to global inequality and imperialism.
That's one group of people have this standpoint. Are you for this position? Yep, Bob, go ahead.
I can identify with some of these ideas because I've been doing the EMI. So I would say this looks familiar to the workplace. This looks like I can recognize these ideas in the schools and the people working. And I think it's interesting it talks about power relations and elitism. I wonder, is that EMI or is that just what schools do anyway? That's kind of the role of a school.
Yeah.
To create these power structures. And the elitism, I was in H&M and they're selling Harvard t-shirts. So I don't even have to go to Harvard. I can go to the shopping mall and I can buy a t-shirt in English that says Harvard and participate in that kind of elitism. But the striking thing for me, since we're talking about learners and being learner focused, that the last where it talks about the education market, the learners don't need to go to the market. They can grow their own learning.
That's right.
So we need to remember that even though schools might be doing this kind of thing, people might learn English on a video game. Or they might learn Swahili instead and not like to learn English. They might think, my future's in Africa. I'm learning Swahili.
Right.
So even though we have this market, we're forcing all the children to go there. We're forcing all the teachers to do this kind of work. And then when they leave school, they could go to a different market, they could have their own language experiences and they can be their own people even when they're not in school. So this is a very interesting slide. Thank you for sharing that.
So markets, whose markets, right? So think about that. Okay, that's a position 1. Billy, you want to share with something or you want to carry on for the next one, the next position, the optimistic.
Yeah, sure. Position 2, the optimist. EMI in education is helping to create a dialogical space for global citizens to connect and make the world a more peaceful and interconnected place. Having a shared language through which to do this, normally but not exclusively English, presents an opportunity for people from different backgrounds to engage rather than a challenge to other languages. People will adapt their languages and express themselves in a way that is right for them. So English is inclusive and multicultural enough to be the lingua franca of higher education without major issues.
Agree?
Yeah. I kind of like what Bob and last slide. I agree with like pieces of this. Yeah.
So actually, somehow think about the scenario in the EMI classes in higher education. Yes, English is somehow looks like the language that we talk, we listen, we converse with the teacher, with the peers, with the text, even the textbook. So, but somehow that doesn't mean that is the only thing. That somehow give us the chance to rethink, to use a different mindset, to think about how can we express ourselves well in different languages, and somehow embrace more opportunities to share, to express. That's something maybe from this position. Okay? All right. Really want to nominate to pass your baton to the another one, negotiator. Anybody?
Yeah, sure. I guess Emily can. Yeah.
Emily?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Position 3, the negotiator. EMI is operating in a space where change and negotiation occurs. Institutions and educators might not be operating in circumstances of their own choosing, and they might be subject to performance measures and scales that they do not control. But internationalization is a transforming process where agency and negotiation is present. Therefore, despite pressures and struggles, educators will always adapt and shape our methods, measures, and expectations to meet the changing global landscape, just as students will resist unreasonable impositions where they can. Power relations and institutional pressures, therefore, do happen and are unavoidable, but human action is transformative, and we are in a position to engage in education in a critical and adaptive way that will always be changing the environments we work in.
Looks like it's more mediocre one, right? So here comes a difficult question. So, where are you? Are you in position 1, 2, 3, or 4? May I have you to type in the chatting box? 1 or 2 or 3 or 4? Okay, 3 for Bob, negotiator. Okay, Emily for 3. Okay, 3, negotiator. Yeah. Like there's a very famous, yes, we have 5. We have 5? Whoa, okay. Who's 5? Learning towards 3 as well. Who's 5? I think Michael. Michael, how about 5?
Actually, it's not very good, but it's 5 is just it hasn't been created, but it's potential.
Sorry, I cannot hear you clearly.
It's a potential. It's a potential.
Oh, potential. Okay. So that is something. I think there's no right answer, or I think this is something we are. As I mentioned, that I'm also just 1-year-old newbie in EMI policy. How somehow to promote, somehow to work together with the students, with the teachers. English teachers, subject teacher, and even the administrative staff. I think we are doing this, as I mentioned, this is one of famous terms in Chinese, 滚动式修正. We are doing this kind of negotiating. We are doing the rolling multiplication. Because each university do have his or its own students' context. The policy of students are different. The orientation of the school's mission are different. And then we need to somehow customize. We need to have this kind of EMI tailored policy or developments in his own school setting. So there's no right or wrong answer, but here we are trying to leave the conversation open. All right? So here's go back to the golden circle. Why is EMI? And let's talk about what is EMI. If you have ever read this one, EMI, what exactly EMI? There are some other terms, the abbreviation, the acronym. English is medium instruction, idiom is mediated instruction, English as the medium of instruction, or English as a medium of instruction. What's the difference? The medium of instruction. Does it make differences? Yes. You guys are English, native English speaker. You are sensitive with the and Let me show you some our white paper, the guideline from MOE later. Then can tell me in Taiwan's EMI, Taiwan EMI is English as the medium instruction or English as a medium instruction after I share with you the timeline. Think about this. So Professor Dr. McCurrow, somehow they define English EMI as the use of English language to teach academic subjects. I think that's a universal definition. EMI as we use English to teach academic subjects. So the focus is academic subjects. Other than English, not EFL, it's not ESL, it's not conversation English class, it's not ESP class, but that's maybe is like a introduction to biology, these kind of academic subjects in countries or jurisdictions where the first language of the majority of the population is not English. That is the universal definition of EMI, okay? Okay, so and then let's take a look of what's happening in Taiwan. I'd like you to take a look of this spectrum. You might have seen this spectrum before. That's talking about different approaches and goals in English language teaching. If you take a look of this spectrum, there are two focuses. On the one end is focusing on language, and on the other end is focusing on content, on the subjects. So take a look at this. EMI is actually on the very end of the focus on content. But along the way, we have EFL, English as a foreign language, and we have EAP, ESP, English for academic purpose, English for specific purpose, and we do have CBI, content-based instruction is still the language focus, but somehow they have the content, they have the genre, the different topics that is used as a text for students to acquire the linguistic features. That's what we call the CBI, content-based instruction. And we do have the CLIO, that is something we are doing in primary schools and secondary school in Taiwan. Take a look at this spectrum, and then if I combine the educational setting of Taiwan, you can take a look, that's what's happening here. All right. And now we have to position ourselves where we are now. Okay? Think about this. We are doing EMI in higher education, but we are not doing that alone. It's somehow a series, a spectrum. Everybody is included. The students, the college students we are having in classroom, actually, some of them have already have some experiences in bilingual EMI in their higher education. Some of them, all right? And even more lucky students, they do have some content, clear learning while they were in primary school or in secondary school. Okay? So just to let you know that we are not doing that alone. All the students, they do have some experience with this, but how? The focus of EMI is the content, the subject acquisition. All right? So another way that I can share with you is this kind of different approaches, different focuses of English and the language and content approaches. Take a look at this table, and you can see coming from different background and different objectives, and who are in the classroom, in different classrooms, in CBI, in CLIO, and the curriculum. What kind of curriculum, what kind of assessment we will be tailored, we will be focusing on. They are different. All right? So here's a question. Yes, Bob.
Hi, I noticed something on these samples, and it's something that other people, sometimes we miss this, but there's a difference between the first language of the teachers and the first language of the students.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also going to be a contrast here if we consider Quebec, for example. Quebec, they were already French speaking when they adapted the education system to use French. the students were already speaking French, the
French,
teachers
yes.
could speak French. And so that's something that's an interesting contrast to me when we look at a classroom. Is the teacher using their first language or their second language? Are the students using their first
First
language?
language.
Or are the students using a second language? And so that's something that we can't see as clear on these examples of Europe, the United States, Canada. However, if you're in the classroom, that is another feature that will be very easy to observe. Is everyone using a second language and picking it up as they go? Or are they utilizing a language that is already part of their identities? Does that make sense? So that's a challenge I've seen as an English teacher in a foreign country. How often are the students going to use English once they finish their homework? Do they turn off the English? For these examples in Finland and Quebec, after the students do their homework in French or the language of instruction, they are very likely to use French when they get on the bus and speak to the bus driver. And so I wanted to point that out here as something that we were working on in Taiwan. The students are not necessarily bilingual when they leave the classroom.
Right.
Their bilingual identity is somehow contained in the classroom, and
Yeah.
perhaps for the teachers as well.
Right. So I think this is just give you some historical context, but we really have to analyze to see what's happening in Taiwan, the bilingual identity, who are our students, and what kind of English supports we do have students. We provide our students in different schools. Okay, different schools, they do have different English supports. And then somehow this really resonate. This might be giving students different contextualize, different, they might imagine the EMI in their career. I think somehow the schools, the support from schools somehow really have a huge impact on their EMI learning journey. All right. So here's just a historical support, historical background about the different teaching approaches. But here's that why me, why you are here. These are all our students in Taiwan in different settings. And then you might see with the big classes, like 30, 40 students, or even online classes, you might have this kind of the scenario, or the seminar, or the graduate students, okay, and the student doing the presentation. So if that is a scenario, that's a classroom that you are going to have, you're going to work together with the professor and the students. Let me tell you more about this. I'd like to share with this data conducted by a group of researchers. That's even though that's conducted 2014, 8 years ago, but there are some data still valuable. Let's take a look at this. And then they try to map out the trend of EMI from the global perspective. But I will focus on what's happening in Taiwan. So for these data, that is something, there are 55 countries that are doing this research. And then, of course, they do have this kind of definition, the working definition of EMI, somehow similar to Professor Makaro's definition. They use English to teach academic subjects where first language of the majority of the population is not English. Okay? So what are some findings? Many people are still very somehow questionable about EMI. Among all these 55 countries, more than half, there are still doubts about EMI. It's still very controversial policy. Okay? And in Taiwan, we are concerned about the controversy usually somehow is about the comprehension. How much do the students understand the subject content? Can students understand that? Comprehension. Think about this. And then the second data that we learned from this research is that 83% they think that there are not enough qualified teachers. Does this number surprise you? So it looks like, yes, are we ready? They think that we are not, we don't have enough qualified teachers. We know that they're trained, but are the teacher, are the professors ready for that? Okay. And then, wow, what are about 60%? 60% countries, they mention that they do not have EMI guidelines. Okay? So it looks like everybody's doing on their own EMI. That's back to 8 years ago. All right. And then 73% mentioned that, wow, yes, we do have international students. International students is one of the key stakeholder, key player to promote internationalization of higher education. But somehow, for these 70%, looks like, yes, 73% is quite a high number, ratio. We do have international students, but we do have international students, but it's not, the number is not large enough, it's not substantial enough for internationalization. Okay? So think about this number, and the last one is that many, more than 2/3 of the participating country, they think that there is an increase, there's a trend, a big trend of EMI provision. Yeah, they are right. And as we can see that after 8 years, that's EMI is kind of booming, a big buzzword all over the world. EMI, EMI, EMI. All right? So all these, think about this. What we might be having, all the challenges in EMI, is that, yes, are the students and also the subject teacher, are they comfortable, are they confident in using English? And then, how about the training and the support for the instructor, for the subject teacher, professors? You know, to prepare EMI courses, there are extra time needed for the course preparation and even the management. The professor have to evaluate, have to assess the students' reports, and do we provide the training and support? And how about the professor's English? Not many professors, I would like to say that from my university, not many, I would like to say half the professor, they do not have the study abroad experiences. They get their PhD from local program, so they are not competent and comfortable using English to deliver their subject, to deliver their courses. Do we provide this support? And also, how about the curriculum planning? Yes, EMI professors, they are doing that in their classes, but we have to expand the classes through along the students, the major, their discipline. It's not only one class, we have to see more expanding spectrum. Why these subject courses is important for EMI, what we need to conduct at EMI. And as along their curriculum planning, do we have enough support? Do we have a coherent planning of EMI in classes? Okay, that's from the professor instructor support. And how about the support for the students? Do we have enough support, sufficient support of language tutoring resources out of the class? Okay. How about the students? Are they able to conduct, to deliver, to express themselves in discussion in classes? Okay. All this. And one interesting research that have been conducted by Professor Huang and Singh is that actually one of the reasons, one of the weakness, one of the danger is that the students in Taiwan, university students, they are so afraid of speaking English in productive skill. They always say, oh, my English is poor, but somehow they do pass the intermediates, they do have some English proficiency tests in reading and listening, but they are so shy, they are so lack of so much confidence in English when they are talking about, oh, I don't have a good English. They are so afraid of speaking up, voice up in classes. That is something might be the challenges you might be having in class. And then also, why do we need to have EMI? Do all the professor, do all the faculty, administrative staff, are they welcoming this EMI policy? How can we deal with this resistance? How do we think about the market, who's marketing of this and that? Okay, so I don't know how many years have you been here in Taiwan. There are some data, some websites you might need to know. You can get some information about the number of EMI programs in Taiwan. So I'll give you the link for here and there afterwards. Studying Taiwan, this is the official website, and from this website you can know what exactly the educational system in Taiwan, and you can find out the different university with the different major, different disciplines. You can play with that, National University or National Technical University or private university or private technical university. Explore with that, then we can get more information about that. And then how about the English program, English TOEFL program that offer to international students, the English only program, okay? Make a guess how many programs, how many colleges. You might find your National Central University here and there. They might guess they do have this program here, 5 programs. Okay, but mostly it's for master and PhD program. That is for outbound, for international students to study in EMI. Okay, so here's a quick facts about this and that. But just because of the EMI policy, bilingual 2030 policy, that we can see that our Ministry of Education has been spending time and efforts and money to support all these programs. And I would like to strongly suggest that you should go into this website. That is one of the key programs that's somehow promoting the EMI bilingual 2030 policy regarding for university, among the university. Let me give you the link in the chat box. And from here, they do have the English version, but somehow it's not 100% translated, but you can get a quick overview about what's happening, how we are doing bilingual 2030 in university sectors. So take a look at this, a quick introduction about what are the 4 strategies that the Ministry of Education is promoting EMI in higher education. There are 4 strategies. We call that the key cultivations, and universal enhancement of a student's English proficiency, and sharing and collaboration, okay, and then bilingual talent recruitment. This is some of the slides that I prepared for with other professors in Taiwan. But I would emphasize, give you another English slides afterwards. These are the 4 strategies, not only inside out, but outside in, to see how we can promote EMI in higher education. So that would tell you that the Ministry of Education, we have spent quite a lot of money on this EMI policy. And as I told you that there are 2 key strategies, key cultivation and universal enhancement. And for key cultivation, we do selected 4 key cultivation schools. We do have National Taiwan University. They will be bilingual university by 2030. and also National Taiwan No More University, National Sun Yat-sen University, and National Chen Gong University. These are the 4 key cultivation schools. By 2030, this will be a bilingual schools. Okay? And then we do have 41 colleges in 25 universities. 41 colleges. 41 colleges. So I believe that National Central University, they do have 1 or 2 colleges. They are going to be the key cultivation colleges. All right? And then National Pingdong Universities is one of the universal enhancements. What is universal enhancement? That we, because I think somehow re-exam to do a stock checking of our university context. Our students not that ready yet, so we want to boost our students' proficiency first, so that we can move on to the key cultivation colleges. Just to let you know how the Ministry of Education is doing this, how somehow promoting EMI in higher education. This is some of the guidelines I'd like you to read before you go into the classroom. This is the guideline, this is the blueprints that are provided by MOE. What is EMI definition? We do have the definition of EMI by the global perspective, but this is the definition of MOE in Taiwan. What is EMI in Taiwan? It's somehow, William, are you here? Does anybody want to? Yes. Can you read this? What is the definition of EMI in Taiwan?
So it says EMI refers to courses of study offered at non-English speaking institutions where 100% English is used in the delivery of content, teacher-student interaction, learning and academic support materials, and presentation and assessment of learning outcomes. The relevant principles are described as follows.
As follows. So 100% of English. Okay, sounds like, wow, a very ambitious number. So there are some principles, 5 principles alone. So think about that. How about Michael? Would you like to read that for us? What is the principle one?
English courses that focus on language learning rather than professional subject content should not be listed as EMI courses, but the importance of ESL, EAP, or ESP courses should be emphasized, and English teachers is an important support for promoting EMI courses. In other words, universities should pay attention to English courses and English teaching when promoting EMI-related programs.
Yes. You are entitled EMI EFT. So think about your EMI courses. You should not be going into EAP or ESL classes. You're supposed to be to collaborate with EMI professors. How do you be the communicative facilitator of EMI classes? Okay with that? That is something we want you to be contributing something in EMI classes. But EAP, ESL courses are not EMI courses, but they are important. They are somehow the prerequisites of good quality EMI courses. Okay? Then principle 2. What does EMI classes look like? Bob, would you like to share with us what you have read here?
Yes. And I'm using 2 monitors if it looks like I'm looking over there. For EMI courses, delivery of content, interaction between students and teachers, learning materials, and presentation and assessment of learning outcomes, such as oral presentations, assignments, or tests, should be in 100% English. But that sounds it sounds a little unusual to me. For instance, interaction between students and teachers. That suggests there's going to be interaction. If there's no interaction between students and teachers, I mean, you commented that students don't like to use English in this way. They could be silent.
Yeah, silence is one kind of communication. They are not ready. Silent period.
Yeah, 100% in English.
Yes.
And that doesn't sound bilingual, though, does it? But I guess that's for the international students who are not bilingual. They don't know Chinese, right?
Yeah, I'm just sharing with what MOE told us. Okay, these are just like guidelines. The delivered content from the teacher, how the teacher deliver the lecturing, the PowerPoints, the handout, the worksheet, interaction, the discussion between the students and teachers, or even the live chat, the communication platform. Okay, e-learning. Learning materials, presentation, students' presentation, their poster or their final examination presentation, assessments, the midterm or final exam paper, all this should be in English. Ooh, okay, think about that. And then number 3. Anybody? But
Yeah, I can try it.
okay, go ahead. Thanks, David.
Chinese can be used in the interaction between students under certain circumstances. For example, in group discussions, Chinese may be used for a short period of time to facilitate creative thinking and brainstorming. However, students are still required to present the results of their discussion in English and should be encouraged to use English more often in class discussions when their English proficiency improves or when more EMI courses are chosen.
Does it make sense to you? Or does it make sense to you? If you think about the scenario, you are observing, you're co-teaching with the EMI teacher, you are invited to observe class. Okay? That might be a very commonly seen scenario. You see the Chinese student, the Taiwanese student, they are discussing with, they're trying to elaborate what the ideas they have, the feedback about the content or what issues. Maybe they would use bilingual, Chinese, English, this kind of translanguaging, all whatever kind of communication, any format of communication is welcome. But they are still strongly encouraged to use English more often in discussion. This is a gradual way. Okay? Agree? So it's not no Chinese. Somehow we still promote some pro-English discussion in classes. But think about if that is a guideline and how you can facilitate. That's an EMI, ETF. How can you facilitate the Taiwanese students? How can you reach the professors and the students in the class? All right? I'll give you some text afterwards. Let's finish the 5 principles. Okay? All right. The last one. The last 2. Further, Deja, would you like to Deja? Okay, go ahead.
Further, students should introduce the results of their discussion in English. Students should be limited in how and when they use other languages in the classroom. Students may use other languages when interacting in groups to facilitate mutual understanding and creative thinking. However, teachers should still ensure that at least 70% of class communication is in English.
No. Once again, there's always a number statistic. But statistics somehow, how do you evaluate 70%? 70% communication is in English. But this is somehow just a reference, give you some ideas. MOE, we want to still somehow keep this kind of pro-English. We want to create English-speaking classes scenario that students can try to use English to communicate, to express their ideas. Even especially when they have to introduce, they have to present the result of their discussion. Okay? But of course, not many classes can achieve this 70% in the very beginning of the phases. of while we are promoting, while we are doing EMI classes. I think that should be a gradual process, gradual number for that. All right? But just let you know that 70%, that is the standard, what MOE want us to do. And then the last one is what? High quality EMI courses should encourage students to speak and write in English. Speak and write. That is the major weakness of Taiwanese students. We do well on listening and reading tests, but when we pass the microphone to the students, hey, what do you think about this? They are, they usually mute, they usually keep silent. And write, can they write well to express their ideas well? Why do they write? We have to think about that. They are in university, they are in higher education, they are in subject content courses. What are they writing? They are not writing this kind of pen pal or email or this kind of writing. They are writing for different purposes to different audience. But think about you, how you can facilitate to encourage students to speak and write in academic setting. So here's come back to this one. If you remember all the 5 principles, that's kind of recap what we as a professor, EMI professor, subject teachers, and EMI students, why do we need EMI? In terms of the 4 skills of English. In listening, speaking, reading, writing, let's take a look at the professor's needs. Yes, the professor, we need to, we will present our research in different international conferences. We have to get to know what's happening in the global, the updated news and policies. And for speaking, giving a lecture in EMI classes, seminars or tutorials, or we might be giving invited talk to other universities or presenting at conferences. Okay, and reading, we need to read relevant the students their homework, and then we need to read academic papers, this or that websites. And then writing, we professor write research proposals or publish academic paper on journals. That's what we are doing. But we are using academic English in academic setting. And on the other side, what the students need EMI. From listening in EMI classes, the teacher is conducted in English lectures, seminars or tutorials, and the student have to present. For postgraduate students, they have to do the presentation in roundtable session or present their research paper, oral defense, okay? And their textbook is mostly in English, and they have to write for journals, papers, reports, labs, or project or poster or examination papers, examination answer. All these are their English, our English uses in academic setting. So are we ready for that? How ready are our professors, students for EMI higher education setting? And who is responsible for bridging the gap? Only for subject professors or English teachers or the students alone? Who are responsible for bridging the gap to help everybody's happy in EMI classes? And now you're here, you're invited in EMI setting. So I'd like to welcome you to think about, yes, you are coming from different country, and you do have the capital of English languages. How do you position yourself in academic setting to embrace, to welcome the communication, and to empower, just like the mission of Fulbright, to connect, to communicate in EMI classes? All right? I'd like to take a 5 minutes, not a break, but ask for yourself, to think for yourself. What are the SWOT analysis? What is your strength? What could be the weakness you have? What could be the opportunities you have? What could be the threat of you as an EMI ETF for the upcoming academic year? All right. So may I have you to go for this board, the Gen board. For here, the third slide, you can scroll, move on along to the third slide. Okay, by moving the cursor here and there. Can I have you, while we do somehow a short break, can you paste your answer? Maybe one or two, your strength or your threats, with the weakness or questions here and there. Are you here? I think you can do this. The same one. All right. You have done this before, but how about for this context, EMI as an EMI ETF? What do you think could be the strength, the weakness, the opportunities? You have done this before, you have done this EMI ETF? Oh, that's good. But in the same context with the Taiwanese students as well, but the university, are they the same? The same orientation, the same, maybe, I don't know, we might have the pass the microphone to this ETF. Maybe it's Bob or Billy, or can you share with us your some of the strength, weakness, or what are some of your concerns? Or do you have any expectation, misunderstanding with the professors? What kind of misunderstanding? Is that cross-cultural misunderstanding, or the misunderstanding of the subject contents? The relationship? Yes. How are you gonna be position yourself with the professor's class, with that class? Are you going to be an assistant, or are you going to co-teach, or are you going to just be the student support? How are you going to position to view yourself? Confusion about language use in class. How is language used in class? Yes, it's a 100% English. What do you think that the professor, the relationship between the professor, we know that for preparing EMI course, it's pre-EMI, during EMI, and post-EMI. Maybe the professor might give you the task to prepare for the lesson. Okay, that's before the EMI or during the lesson. Okay. The opportunities that to introduce the strategies and ideas that from your local, from your home base university, right? From your university's experiences. Find an accessible way to present content in different subjects. Okay, nice. Who is using English? Yes. How often do we use English, use the language, and in what context, in speaking, reading, writing? How authentic is the language? Yes. Okay. Students' English is not the only problem, they also while we are posting the no sticky notes, if you are willing to just turn on the microphone to share with some of the ideas, yes, welcome. Or if I miss anything.
Yeah, I'm happy to share one of the things that I wrote. So one of the things that I wrote was kind of a weakness, but also an opportunity. I wrote that students' English is not the only problem. A lot of them also don't necessarily have experience doing things like discussion on topics or presenting their ideas. So when you pass a microphone, one of the things you mentioned is you pass a microphone and they're silent. Well, I feel like even if it was in the L1, there's a chance that they would be silent as well because they're not comfortable or familiar with at least expressing their opinions, no matter the language. So I think that's a weakness as well as an opportunity, because you mentioned ETFs should not just be doing like language instruction, but one place that they might have in an EMI context is doing maybe teaching how to present or express yourself or discuss these kind of academic topics, not focusing on the language, but just on those presentation and discussion skills.
Yeah, somehow try to help them to make their English use in more meaningful context. It's not just linguistic features, right? We can support them to, yes, how they can express their idea, what are some terms, some phrases, some signposting languages to present a topic well, to express our ideas, to maybe even ask a question in a polite way, or how to interrupt in a polite way during the discussion. All this kind of meaningful usage of English, to use English. I think somehow your role is that try to facilitate students to become an English user in academic setting rather than an English learner. They learned enough, but they have to try to use that confidently. Okay? Few guidelines and weak structure. Yes. Okay, and some Taiwanese professors resistant to EMI. Yes, we do have some professors that's still, yes. Why do I need to do EMI? Okay. Any other feedback or comments? Or any questions or concern? And I know you do have coming from different background with different subject, different disciplines. I don't know how you will be matched with the professors. Should be matched with the similar disciplines, right? William, can I know any of your background?
Yeah, I have a background in geography and education.
Geography and
Education.
oh, education. Good. Okay. How about Billy?
My background is in physics and chemistry.
Okay.
Maybe now also education.
Okay. And then maybe now education. All right. How about Emily?
Yeah, I studied English, classics, and a little bit of pop sci.
Okay. English classics. Okay. Literature, right?
Classics, sorry, the Greeks and the Romans. So English and then classics, yeah.
Deja?
Yeah, my background was originally in East Asian Studies, and then TESOL at Dalhousie University. And I'm one of the advisors who will be working with the EMI program.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay, so here's all of your feedback. Thank you very much. English is not the only problem. They also may not know to feel comfortable presenting their ideas. Yes, even in first language. You're right. You're right. I think many Taiwanese students, they try not to. Okay, don't call me in the class. I better just silent, just watch, listen. All right. So that is all for the sharing. Thank you very much for this one. Let me finish my sharing for this. For all this, somehow we are not. Nobody is fully, I think, know what's the best EMI policy unless we are work that together. So here's how we can implement, how we can by echoing bilingual 2030 policy, EMI strategy, EMI policy in higher education, many universities, global, local, you can see all these are coming from different countries. Cambridge, Oxford, United States, Ohio University, they do have an open course. And even Barcelona, University of Barcelona, the Future Learn, Southampton, or Alberta in Canada, all of the university, they are offering this kind of professional development. Even local Taiwan University in Chengkong University, and I'm also part of the professional development lecture. And they are doing, actually, we have a grant provided by MOE. We are going to train 600 professors, more than 600 professors, through Chengkong University. During the summer for the upcoming year, that there will be 600 professors join this professional development training. Okay, it's a training for, I remember we do have a 60 years of professional training program, and then we will have them to know what's the concept of the EMI, what's the theories, and then we will have them to do the micro teaching. And then we will do this kind of class observation as well, how to write the lesson plan and how to implement a successful EMI, how to deliver well in English in your content subject classes, and how do we evaluate, how do we assess students, all this and that. I think you can see there are different beautiful resources here and there, and then I think not only the students have to take the responsibility to polish their English for EMI classes, and also the professor should be geared, ready for all quality EMI classes. I will share with you all these, and then, for example, like the Dongkok University in South Korea, they do have a series of EMI training videos, so you can take a look how we can check students' understanding. Okay, so these are short videos, so you can take a look if you want. What are some key points as the EMI instructors? How we can do check students' understanding? How can we engage students in discussion, this and that? I'll share with you the PPT afterwards if you need that. Okay, and then that's the final part of my sharing for today. Yes, EMI. I think from instructors, English instructors' perspective, may I invite you to rethink about this. Whose English? Yes, in the classroom you are going to observe, or you are going to collaborate with. That's whose English? English is lingua franca, and word English. In your class, you might have students from different countries, Indonesian students, or Japanese students, or Korean students in that class, okay, or Thai students. And then they are using English to communicate, to study the disciplinary, the subjects, content. This is totally different from the general English, the daily English. So think about the Englishes, okay, whose English? And medium, that is medium. And how can we make good use of medium? Medium is not just only the tool, but the medium through teachers to students lecturing, activities or inside outside support, or this kind of scaffolding support or multi-modal resources, all should be welcome, should be embraced. Okay? And then instruction for EMI is only for instruction. I hope that for these EMI program, for your join, it's not just for instruction. It should be for more about international competitive build up to raise students' international competitiveness, intercultural communication, and interpersonal understanding. Every student is different. They do have their background. And like you do have your background, you do have your specialty, your uniqueness. And how do you bring in this intercultural communication and interpersonal understanding with your student or your professor? And interdisciplinary connections, you might be working with a different professor, have a different disciplines from you, and how to do collaborate with each other, and interprofessional development in interinstitutional collaboration. Okay, think about this EMI. And this is another somehow the vision that I co-work with my teacher, our colleagues. This is somehow the paradise vision, a diagram for the successful EMI classes, for EMI schools or colleges. I think all the stakeholders should be involved, including the subject teachers and English teacher and administrative. Okay, for the subject teacher, yes, the subject content is the key. It's something that we should not be taken away. It's not English. Subject is the key of the learning for these EMI classes. So the subject teacher should be responsible for the general awareness, the teaching pedagogy, the feedback, and all the assessment design to make sure that is a quality subject learning. And then on the other side, the English teacher, that's my role, that's English teacher, we should be preparing students for these EAP Englishes. How do they deliver a speech? How do they discuss in English? Okay? How can we preach? How can we help the subject teacher and the student ready to write the report, lab report, or the final project? How to make an academic presentation at the conference of at the poster session of the conference. Okay, and also from the university administrative staff, administrative sectors. That's from the internal and external. We have to work it together to make sure all of these is somehow a whole universal approach. Okay. So this is the vision, that's the blueprint that we work together, I and my colleagues work together to see that is something we should be working. To say this is easy, but to do is another way. So this is the last slide I'd like to share. Yes, EMI, while I joined for this team, MPTU, National Pino University, to work on, to somehow promote EMI, looks like it's Alice in the Wonderland. I don't know what's gonna be happening. But I know that it's not only me should be taking the whole responsibility. Let's see what could be doing. The teacher, both the English teacher and subject teacher, we should empower mindset to make a mindset. It's not just English teaching. And that's EMI policy for this bilingual 2030 policy. How about let's do something, make a growth mindset. Let's re-examine, to recheck our pedagogy, our teaching. Maybe we can do something different to engage more students. Maybe I can collaborate more to do more connection with other universities, and may have more interconnection with my students, not just one-way lecturing. Okay? And then on the other side, the students should be doing also take other responsibility to be engaging more in their study, in their learning, and then doing something make their learning more meaning-making and interesting, of course, for sustainable learning journey. Okay, so that is somehow my other interpretation of EMI, what I'm promoting, what I'm trying to be a director of EMI Development Center. It's not just only for EMI classes. I think I want to make it more a sustainable learning journey. So once again, you as the EMI ETF, I think William, or Philip, your major is for physics, right? You're very familiar with this equation, this formula, this, right? How will you do that?
Sure. Sorry.
Yes?
Well, did you ask a question?
Yeah, this equation, we know that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But how can I reformulate this regarding to our EMI as a Fulbright's ETF? Allow me to somehow reformulate this. I think we should use ELF, English as a lingua franca, is equal to the medium of connection and communication for your EMI classes. Okay? So think about that, what you can position yourself. And yes, I think it's a good timing. If you do have time, may I have you to let us know what you have learned, any ideas, any takeaway you get from my sharing today. Maybe not much, but I want to make this a dialogical, two-way communication, because you guys are the pioneering, the first cohort to join us. We need you badly to promote. So I like to use this image. It's not easy to keep a balance, right? If I can I have you to go to the very last slide, the very last slide of this Gen board. Can I invite you to Google one picture or images? What you think, you hope for your role as the EMI ETF? How you're gonna make these your EMI journey for the upcoming academic year? Like these, there are different stones, different stakeholders, and through this bridging, you can see the whole world. Okay, I don't know if you time allows. I will leave this Jamboard open. If you can find any picture to represent your goal, your mission, or your expectation for the upcoming one meaty and juicy EMI ETF journey, what would that be? And after 1 year, we may go back to check. Are you there? Were you there? Okay. So yes, that's all about my sharing. Once again, thank you very much. Any feedback or any question, comments? Oh, this will be the last one. That's one of the very famous quotes from African proverb. Yes. If you want to, I think I personally like to use this last slide for the other professors in Taiwan. I think nobody should be left behind. That's EMI policy of bilingual 2030 is that everybody's duty and everybody's responsibility. If we want to go together, if we want to go further, we should go together. Okay? Okay, so that's my email. And I can share with you my PowerPoint if you want. So some of the guidelines and some of the links of other professional development for EMI trainers from different universities. Okay? I might pass this to Sherry or Fangda, if you send me an email, I can send you the PowerPoint. All right? Any other questions? Ooh, great. I like it. Yes, many professors or many students. I don't, I can't, I want to. Yes, I did it. Good. Oh, what's that? Ooh. I'm a very visual learner, so I like to use this as an ending. Can I have someone who should? Yeah, okay, Bob. I'd like to tell us why you choose this one. EMI.
Make a joke. EMI, EMI. We're all going to get an EMI.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. All right. It's a long day for you. Gonna be a long day. I hope you enjoy your quarantine. Somebody's still in the hotel or whatever. Let's keep the conversation open. And if you do have any question or concern or need any help, yes, you can email me. Okay? All right. So Sherry or Fonda. I think it's about time.
Okay.
My time's done.
Yeah.
You guys will go back to another session, right?
Okay. Thank you, Professor Kathy. And I hope you all enjoyed her sharing today. And feel free to email her for any further questions. And then, as she mentioned, the Jambo is opened, and you can always share your ideas, and I'm sure we'll get to meet each other sometime soon and definitely talk
Because
about it.
we are in the same role. So join AXME, or we are here to support, and we also need you. We might invite you if that's possible. We might invite you to give us a talk or sharing with our MPTU professors or students as well. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Keep healthy and stay safe. Okay. And happy EMI teaching.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.